Hello, hello, and welcome to the free training. I am so excited that you are here today because we are going to talk about how to be pursued and adored and tenderly loved in your marriage, surprisingly, without therapy, without couples counseling, and without even telling your husband to improve. What? This is also that you can have the happy family life you have always dreamed of. So let's get started. All right, the Adored for Life framework. This is my just wildly successful system that works for women and their husbands, either sort of a few years into being married, over 10 years, 15 to 20, even up through 40 or 50 years, who are looking to be pursued again, to feel adored, to feel tenderly loved by their husbands in marriage without therapy, counseling, or telling him to improve. So stick around if you got married because you wanted all the joy and love and ease and trust and fun of being deeply desired and taken care of and supported in your relationship. You have an incredible desire to just receive all the love and intimacy you want from your husband. And you finally are like, I want this relationship to work once and for all. Like, I do not want to be heartbroken. I've been trying other things. It's not working for me. And like, I want this so badly. And I want my kids to see this love. I know that's important for them. So let's talk a little bit here about honest communication. We're going to share a little bit more about this later on, but this is for you if like you've been having the difficult conversations with your husband about your relationship, like what is missing, what he needs to be doing, like where he needs to be stepping up. You are talking to him about his problems, all the things that he needs to improve. You've been willing to argue or even have to fight with him to basically like stand up for your needs. And maybe you've been trying couples counseling or some kind of therapy or for him, and you're trying to get things to be better in the relationship. But what is the result of all of this? All of your striving and trying? He doesn't change, and you have no intimate connection, right? Instead, you have fighting and anger and emotional distance. Hi, if you don't know me, I'm Irene. I am 39 years old. I'm a Catholic wife and mom of six. Oh my gosh, hello. And I created a way to have an incredibly happy and easy marriage. Okay. And I didn't go to school for that. I'm just, a woman who deeply, deeply values having a happy, loving marriage where I feel taken care of and supported and cherished. So I like to say I literally didn't choose the Adored for Life method. It literally chose me for my happiness. So a little bit of my backstory here. I was married in 2009. In 2018, I totally changed how I do my marriage so that I create and keep intimacy in my relationship without any fighting or emotional distance. And back in the day at that time, I did it with 5 kids at my feet. So let me walk you through my story. Back in September of 2017, I had just had my 5th baby in 7 years. So you can imagine how much was on my plate. I was also working as a professor at the time. And I literally remember this day where I was putting all the kids in the car. And inevitably, when you have so many kids, like somebody's always crying. And I like got them all in the car and I just shut the van door. And I remember walking around the back side of the van the long way and just like relishing these 5 seconds of solitude that I had to just close off the chaos inside. And then when I got around to the driver's seat, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to do something for myself. Like this is crazy, Irene. And I remember whenever we got back, I went home and I immediately Googled self-care for moms, like hobbies for moms. I'm like, I need to do something different for myself. Something needs to change here. And I don't know what happened. Either the Google tech gods were not working that day, or divine providence more likely was at work. But the Google search that pulled up for me had very little to do with self-care or hobbies, but it actually was a bunch of blogs written by married women who were sharing, interestingly, the things that they had learned after being married for a while. So they were sharing things that they had done wrong, mistakes that they had made, and they were being really honest about it. I was kind of intrigued. And what they were doing better, which had a massive change in their relationship. And so I found this really interesting. And what stood out to me the most was their humility. Like, here is what I know I'm accountable for, and here's my happiness, right? And here is the kind of woman to woman secrets that have just completely transformed their relationship. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I started reading, blogs from different women, and I started taking out different books, ordering some online, going so deep into the research, even doing case studies. Here I am, like literally in my laundry room, trying to get a minute away, reading some things online. Okay, inevitably, like my kids found me. Um, I'm sitting on top of the washing machine. I'm actually kind of impressed that there is no clothes there, although, like, to be honest, I probably just like shoved it onto the floor. And here I am just going on a new kind of journey of self-growth and discovery. And the thing about me is, like, I'm a really analytical thinker. This is one of the things I think made me very successful as a professor. But basically, like, when I'm interested in something, I just go like so deep with it, like way deep. I read everything that there is. I started reading all kinds of books. I was literally like researching case studies on like couples and things like that. And I learned so much in a short time. And so I just want to like sum up some of those things. So a lot of the times, in different marriage programs or books or approaches, there's kind of like two main ways that they like to talk about what's wrong with the relationship. How do we improve it? Okay. And the number one thing you hear is like, you never learn the right skills. Okay, so now you need to learn active listening skills or repair attempts, or how to, share your disappointment in an I statement so it kind of lands softer, or you kind of want to be a little more emotion focused, okay? Or you got to learn these about temperaments and love languages and whatever it is, okay? There's something you didn't know before that you need to know now, okay? That's one of the lines of thought. Okay, the other one is that there must be something, either you or your spouse have some kind of personal problem, and that's why you're having frustration in your relationship. Okay. Except that I started noticing something else. Okay. There was a third thing that nobody was really talking about super clearly. Okay. There was a very clear pattern that actually started emerging in the data. Okay. And here is kind of that pattern. It starts out like this. You notice that you need more things from your man. He needs to step up in the relationship. And you try to communicate that to him, right? But the problem is it doesn't really go over very well. He argues with you, he gets a little bit defensive, you have to kind of like fight to get your point across. Okay, maybe that makes you feel distant in your relationship. Okay, and this pattern was happening over and over and over again in the relationship. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. Now, as I was reading all this, I was also at the same time preparing my own lessons for the courses that I teach as a university professor. I'm a professor of theology. I teach primarily moral theology, bioethics, Christian marriage, the moral and anthropological foundations for Christian marriage. And so I was doing a lot of reading on the writings of John Paul II, and I made a completely epic discovery. It was unbelievable. And it's this, okay, that the same pattern I saw in the data, John Paul II also saw this too, okay, and he wrote about it, right? And it kind of looks like this, where you start to see in your marriage your husband's weaknesses, okay? You start to see that he has certain imperfections, certain flaws. You kind of are like, oh my gosh, is he really the man I thought he was? And as a result, because the things that you want and need in your relationship are basically tied to him, right? And you're building this life together with him. So your finances are tied, your parenting, your housework, your life, your fun, the things you do together. And so seeing those kind of weaknesses in him can be a little bit scary, because you know that they're going to affect you and affect your kids and all those things. So you try to share with him the ways that you think he needs to be improving, right? And you start sharing your grievances. But interestingly, as a result, and maybe you've experienced that, he doesn't seem to react super well to this. He's not like, yes, honey, I've got it. I've understood you. And now I'm ready for action. Like that, like almost never really happens that way. And as a result, you feel hurt by this, right? Like you feel neglected, like he's not, like, does he even care, and you feel frustrated. And so, some signs of this are like he either gets angry with you or maybe he shuts you out, like he doesn't talk to you for the rest of the day or maybe even a couple days, right? And you find that really, really damaging, right, for your relationship. Okay, and it actually makes you feel kind of neglected even more. So this pattern that there's actually 42 years over, probably not now, that was published a little while ago, but over 42 years of data showing that this is how marriages begin to spiral downward, right? There's actually a sex-specific pattern to that pain. And John Paul II actually saw this and he understood it from the woman's perspective. Okay, why? Because all these married women were like coming to him with their marriage problems. And he started writing about this from her perspective. Here's how she feels. Here's what she wants. And interestingly, he also thought that there were some things that she needed to do a little bit differently. Okay, and I saw that these were the same things that the other women had discovered at some point in their marriage that they were sharing, that I was learning. He saw the same things, that there's this underlying pattern where you feel he's being neglectful, he needs to improve, he feels disrespected, and he shuts down. Okay. So I started doing things a little bit differently, and I had such an amazing transformation in my marriage. Here's us at our 10-year wedding anniversary, where my husband was basically like, pack a bag, I planned everything, get in the car, and I am going to just woo you and pursue you all over again. And this was so amazing. He just planned this whole thing where he recreated the whole way that like we fell in love and how he proposed to me and how we got married and just like took care of the whole thing myself. I was just like receiving all of that. And it was just so unbelievable and amazing. And just coming back to that and knowing how to do things differently in my relationship so that this kind of dynamic just continues even in our daily life. It's just such a blessing. Now, I literally had zero intention of like sharing this with anybody because I mean, like, why would I do that? Just like, whatever, cool, this works for me. However, something changed. I started just, being in different groups online and Facebook, reading different Facebook threads where other women were reaching out and sharing some of the similar challenges that I had had and asking for help. So I remember just like in my spare time, okay, keep in mind, I'm a mom, I have 5 kids, 7 and under. I'm working as a professor. I don't even have spare time, but like I saw these women reaching out for help and I'm like, I remember how it felt to be like, oh, I wish I knew how to, do things a little bit differently. So I started sharing, hey, I used to do this and now I do this. And this has been amazing for me. Okay. And they would write back like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And then I started seeing more of these things, my husband's doing this and it's so frustrating and I can't believe he's, acting so hurtfully, and I would start manslating. I like to call it translating why what he's doing is so weird, but like, this is what is happening for him. I understand this is happening for you. And here's how you can totally like change that dynamic. And so I just started doing this in my spare time. Okay, now at one point, I remember this one thread, people posting all the time, anonymous posts, but I remember this one thread where this woman was like, just didn't have the support she needed and she eventually separated and divorced. And she made this post about a year later after her divorce. She was coming up on her 20th wedding anniversary and she was crying that evening and she was saying it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I really wish things had turned out differently. And I literally went home that night and I cried for her. Like she doesn't even know who I am. And like I was crying for her that night. And that's the day I decided that's it. I need to share what I know, what I've learned, my experience being a married woman all these years and everything I learned academically and how it all fits together and all the things, make it simple and put it together. And that's what I did. And I created the Adored for Life relationship coaching program, right? This done with you program where I help you be pursued and adored and loved all over again in your marriage as a woman, right? The way that a man is meant to love a woman, the way a woman's meant to receive that love. Because the truth is, like, you want to have your dreams together with him. Like, you want to build your dreams together. Like, you don't want to be in the situation where you're like, this isn't how it was supposed to be. Like, you want the vision, right? What does that vision of building your life together look like, for you? So if you're at all interested in what I have to say here, in the program, you can apply for the program. I'll just reach out to you by email or in Instagram direct messages and just help you identify right away for free what is missing in your relationship here. I just want to help whoever needs this help, that the message is you don't have to struggle. It doesn't have to be that way. It gets to be easy. Okay, so I want to say a little bit more about why it is such a struggle, right? Because we have been raised to believe that, okay, we need to have honest communication with your partner, right? Which for most of us, we feel like means, okay, when there's something wrong here, you tell him what he's doing wrong and what he needs to improve, okay? We need to focus on fixing those personal problems, whatever they are, however they appear, right? And maybe in your life, they look like this, like there's an anger issue, or maybe there's a lot of drinking, or maybe it looks like seeing verbal abuse, right? Or seeing him being even emotionally checked out, right? And maybe you've been trying this to communicate with him honestly, okay? And here's what I want to say, okay? Let me break this down for you. That a happy and emotionally intimate marriage is not created by telling your husband that he needs to improve, even if he does, right? Even if objectively, like, these things are not okay and we want to see change, this is not the way that's going to work, okay? It's kind of like punching him in the gut and then expecting a good response, okay? And I'm going to tell you why that is. Okay, you start to get a sweet and a tender marriage where you actually see him radically improve by taking the focus off of improving his behavior. Okay, you're going to make it so easy for him to support you and to make you feel cherished. Okay, and here's why. Because when you focus on improving him, what he hears in his heart is, you're not good enough for me. You are not a capable man. You are not competent, which for him equals you are not lovable. Now imagine this. Every time you're just like, hey, here's what I need more from you. I need more from you, right? What he's hearing is, you're not lovable. Imagine that. But this is what's happening. It doesn't seem to make sense on the surface, but this is what is happening. Okay. And this way of communicating is emotionally exhausting. Or worse, it's just, it's ineffective, okay? And what I want to tell you is you don't need to do it that way anymore, okay? If you've been doing it that way, we've all been doing it that way, right? But there's a better way, and it's so, so easy and makes things so, so sweet, okay? And I've mapped this out here in what I call the Adored for Life framework. So there's 3 phases, okay? Number 1, when you're in this place where everything is frustrating and you're struggling, okay, what you need to do is eliminate the drama, right? And get more of what you want. We need to restore that emotional safety right away and quickly, right? You can't start with something else first. That's where we begin. Okay, step 2 then is to hone in a deep way on how your man actually feels loved. Okay, and this is so, so key. And this is something that women are basically sharing with each other, and you're not going to find it in academia because they've just ruled out the idea completely that men and women are different. It's like politically incorrect to even say that. Okay, so you're not going to find that there. I know because I looked. And then finally, you need to know how to increase the tenderness that he's going to feel for you and to create that emotional intimacy. Okay, now I want to break this down a little bit deeper. Okay, so step 1 here, eliminate the drama. Now, I want you to think about the problems that you're seeing right now in your relationship. Okay, maybe it's like he's not bringing in enough money. Maybe it's like he can't hold down a steady job. Maybe it's like he doesn't speak to you in a way that is kind. Okay. And you're seeing these things. Now, I want you to realize that this is like an iceberg. Okay. You're seeing the things that are on the surface. That's what you're seeing. And you're like, this is what's causing me so much pain. But the reality is there's something much deeper underneath. Okay. It's a cycle of whenever you need something that's so important to your heart and you're reaching out about it, the way that it's happening is actually wounding his heart. And then he's wounding your heart. And that's why it's so painful, right? That's why other people on the outside looking in are like, why can't these people just get it together and love each other, right? They don't realize it's so painful because the way that you were designed to feel loved, he's doing the opposite of that. And the way that he's designed to be loved, you're doing the opposite of that, but you don't realize it. Neither one realizes or even intends that. And the thing is, once you get rid of that deeper problem underneath, everything on the top goes away, right? It's like an iceberg, like when you melt it from the bottom, the bigger thing, get rid of that bigger thing, the top things, they resolve. Okay, what's the thing that really sinks the ship is what's underneath. Okay, the next step, learning how your man feels loved. Okay, we all feel like we actually know this. However, it's like, let me just give you an example. Let's say that there's some issue you want to talk about in your marriage, and you're like, okay, the savings are running low. We need to be making more money. The kids have all these, activities and bills. And like, I feel that you're not doing enough to really contribute to this. I feel concerned that, okay, so what are you doing? You're saying, here are the facts of the situation, and here's how I feel about those facts. Okay, now I'm going to tell you this. That is not what actually makes a man move, right? And what we want is movement, right? We want him to step into action. That's not what ignites him to be like, okay, I'm going to take over and help us out. I'm going to start doing what needs to be done. Okay. And so this whole step of really going deep, 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 deep in so much detail on how your man feels loved, how to approach making decisions together without fighting at all, without having any more, emotional distance. How do you make those decisions together? How do you create financial intimacy together? That's what this is all about, right? And that's something that's super important, to build a happy, healthy, strong marriage going forward, right? And it's really, really possible. Okay, and the final step is to increase the tenderness and emotional intimacy, right? Every single woman in the world yearns for tenderness, right? That's why you said, I do. Okay, imagine this. Imagine that moment where his strong masculine arms, he just wraps himself around you and you feel safe and you feel that you can trust him. Like you can just sort of melt into him and he's going to take care of you, right? And he empathizes with you, right? And you're not just like, here's what's on my heart and he wants to solve your problem, right? Instead he empathizes, he makes you feel heard and understood and loved. And he also shares his heart with you, right? There's certain things that you can do to actually create that dynamic in your relationship. And it is so, so awesome, right? And here's the thing is it's actually fairly simple to do. And that's what I want to show you. So here's how it works. You eliminate the real drama, the real problem, all the other things start to just resolve because you've recreated that emotional safety. Okay, you go super, super deep into how your man feels loved. You start doing things differently, right? You start tapping into how a man really what moves him to act on your behalf, right? And to make those decisions together and to get all the things that you need for your marriage, your parenting, your housework, your life, right? And the third step is to increase his tenderness toward you because you're a woman, right? And you have a much, much deeper need for tenderness in marriage, right? You want emotional intimacy, okay? And so eliminate the drama, you learn how your man feels loved, you increase that tenderness and emotional intimacy, and that equals a happy and emotionally intimate marriage. And it is so, so awesome. It is so, so awesome to be there on the other side. Here's from someone I worked with who says, I can't even tell you how much of a game changer A Door for Life has been for me. Irene Alexander, you are a genius. It's a collective effort of humanity. My husband and I are getting along so well, especially in how we approach our conflicts. I wish I could give you a hug. I really mean it. Thank you so much for all your work building strong marriages. Okay, so in order to make this really work, there's two key elements that you need. First, the right messaging. Okay, a message that speaks exactly to the core of his masculine heart. Okay, and here's the symptoms that you're not doing this. Okay, if you feel like whenever you share things, okay, you're getting a lot of defensiveness on his part, arguing, cold, awkward silences, or even verbal abuse. Okay. I'm not saying those things are okay. I'm not saying he doesn't have freedom. He's totally free on how he acts. Okay. But I want you to know that there is a real messaging issue here. Okay. And very likely you're focusing on his problem behaviors, and that does not work. That is not the way to very, very quickly turn things around. From another client, I had no idea that the way I was communicating was hurting my marriage. I thought that good communication was honestly telling my husband why I was so upset and explaining to him the obvious things that I thought he should be doing. But he would get angry and shut down. Now I know exactly what to do to get my needs met and to bring out his best. It's amazing, works fast, right? I love that because haven't we all done that, right? Haven't we all done that? But there's a better way. There's a better way. Number two, sharing your heart in a way that literally transforms your husband's mind. It unleashes his creativity, his action, it moves him, right? So no more, let's focus on all the behavior problems, because you know what? He doesn't need your tips. He doesn't need your analysis of where you think his problems have come from, or why he needs to improve, or what he's doing wrong, or why he's not good enough. What he needs is to believe again that he can come through for you, right? That you are pleasable, that he has what it takes, okay? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Okay. Because I know what it feels like, to want this so badly, right? To want your marriage to be so, so easy and sweet, and affectionate and full of love and ease and joy, right? And I know what it feels like, to be like, oh, our happy relationships, are they just for the lucky people who, they don't have husbands that have any real problems? It must be nice for those women, right? I know what it feels like to wonder whether what I say or what I do is going to make any difference at all. And that's why I created this. And I created it with you in mind, right? I would stay up at night thinking about you out there struggling and suffering silently. And I thought to myself, you know what? You deserve more. And I know it's out there. I know what all the ideas and models and theories and programs are. And I know that they're not as effective. And I know why. And that's why I created this Done With You program, where I literally help you every step of the way to be pursued in your relationship, to have an easy relationship where you feel adored and cherished and tenderly loved without any of these other things, okay? Without the counseling, without coming together as a couple and just complaining about each other in front of somebody else, right? That's going to break down the emotional safety of your relationship, not increase it, right? It's going to make each person feel more emotionally exhausted and feel like the relationship is hopeless, right? And it's not. These things can be turned around, and they can even be turned around quickly and easily. So if this speaks to you at all, apply now. There's a button right below that you can click. I will reach out to you via email if that is your preference, or a direct message on Instagram, and help you identify what is missing here in your relationship, because I care about you. And if this is the right fit for you, then I'll share the details, and you could get started right away, but only if that's the right kind of fit for you. And here's what we do in the program. Number one, we help you to restore the emotional safety. That is number one. That's the foundation. You don't have that, you don't have anything. Okay. Right. So why? We want you and your husband to stop moving away from each other and to start tuning in emotionally toward each other, right? We want that to happen right away. We want you to start receiving your desires. Okay, no more feeling burnt out and exhausted and unsupported and like I'm the one who has to do everything. I'm the one who feels like I have to be responsible for things. No, no, you don't. You get to receive your desires. Okay, you get to learn how exactly he feels loved as a man and all the blind spots that I had myself and other people, and the ones that John Paul II also noticed, like, hey, this is not going to work for a man, but women don't seem to realize this. And we were like, what? We never thought of that. And you're going to learn how to fulfill each other's hearts, how to do it in your daily life, in your decisions together, how to approach, issues, problems, things in a way that actually make one another feel loved, that builds trust. And finally, you're going to learn exactly how you ignite the hero in him so that, isn't this the most wildly attractive thing? Is like when you just, you want to be loved so much and he comes through for you. Like I remember growing up with my mom and dad and my sister, whenever we came home from college, all the girls in the house, we would like watch all these Jane Austen movies and just like I remember the ache that I felt as a single woman, wanting someone to come for me, that ache, that deeply bridal ache of like, yes, like I want a wonderful, handsome, strong man to just like see me for who I am, like me and my imperfections and everything, and just like love me and like wrap his arms around me and just like love me tenderly. And I want to have that for the whole of my life, and that's what I have now, and that's what I want to share with you. How to deepen your emotional intimacy with him so he shares his heart with you. How to deepen that in your sexual intimacy, right? In the bedroom. Actually, we have a whole class on that. So fun. Okay, so how I help you specifically, we have a 10-week core training curriculum, which you could see here on the little iPhone. It's a course that you get immediate access to, and it just breaks down this whole 3-step process I've been talking about into bite-sized pieces. And I also give you 12 weeks, that's 3 months of personalized weekly coaching support. Okay. And this is one of the things I am literally the most excited about, because the way we do it is so, so awesome. We used to do this, it used to be kind of structured like a group, everyone on a live call together way, but modern women are so busy and sometimes it's so hard, especially if you have kids, to commit to a specific time. So here's what we do now in the coaching training. There's a portal where you can reach out to me whenever it's convenient for you. We do this once a week. And then you share, here's my current challenge. And then I, every week on Thursday, collect everybody's challenges and I coach you through them, record it, drop it to you so you can listen to it on your phone. Like, hey kids, mom's on the phone, give me a minute, and you don't have to be present for a live call. It is so, so awesome, so easy, and you get the exact tailored support that you need. I love it. So this is perfect for you if you are ready to say yes to just an incredibly happy and emotionally intimate marriage. And you are, open to just this counterintuitive way to having that fast. Okay. You're ready to say goodbye to fighting, to anger, to emotional distance in your relationship. Okay. And you're the kind of person who wants hands-on support in making this dream a reality ASAP, like quickly, which is what we do. So this is the Adored for Life program. And if you're interested, click apply below, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. God bless you.